I want to sell my business, or I want to, gift it to the next generation, or no, they're going to buy me out, right? Things like that. But a lot of times we get further down the transaction and there's a ton of emotions, and we don't talk about that because we're always talking about the money. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot that goes in, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it because, we're seeing a lot of baby boomers. We're seeing a lot of them stay further in the business. There's a lot of emotion tied to, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, and also I hear them kind of saying, well, you're not going to decide how this is, like, I'm going to decide how this is. You also talk a lot about the legacy, not just for the company, but the charitable giving. And so
Mhm.
talk about some of the emotion around these events, even transitioning to family members that you're seeing in these founder companies.
Oh, yeah, you cannot not have emotion, right? Because there's so much at stake. And anytime there's money involved, there's going to be emotion. Things from the past that have never been resolved. I work with families, and I'll interview everybody, and I'll hear about all these different resentments and things that happened years ago, and especially if there's certain members of the family that were more cultivated to be in the business, where others were kind of discouraged from it, or maybe so. And so that fair versus equal can lead to a lot of resentment. And I don't come in and say we're going to address all these unresolved issues. It's more about, we need a new way of communicating and respecting and honoring everybody for your different skills, talents, abilities, and valuing each other and what you bring to having this sustaining business that's made such a difference for the family. And these past things, what do we need to do to shift the orientation and the narrative going forward so that you have measurable trust with each other, so you can really trust that you are on the same page? And the main reason is, do we care about the same things? Do you care about what I care about? If there's like, we're going to keep investing money in the business and we're not going to do any distributions this year, and then you see that that person that said that then is driving a brand new truck or is doing a remodel in their home, it's like, wait a second, was that sincere? Were they actually honestly saying what's so, or are they just siphoning to benefit themselves, right? It always, presumptions will go to the worst case scenarios. So that transparency is key. And the best way to start the conversations around these emotions is to storytell, to really dive into the stories behind the business. Like,
Mm.
making sure that all the generations, the grandchildren, the kids, all are on the same page about how this started, what they want to make sure is those memories that are to be cultivated and to draw from in terms of the legacy. What were the failures that happened along the way, along with the successes? What were the biggest lessons that were learned? So that there's this way of capturing for the family all of the learning that happened as a result of building this business. And then, what were the values that motivated different decisions? And it really helps to level set for the family and look at that legacy that they're living in now. And then, what is it going to look like going forward? And that's where that piece comes in terms of, well, do we really want to sell it, or do we want to keep it in the family? And if we do, what does that mean? And if the family's got to buy it out, how do we look at structuring things so that it's fair for everyone?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of different approaches to it, but it's highly recommended that you make it possible for people to have skin in the game if they want to have an ownership stake, as opposed to just giving it, because it tends to help the longevity of the business if you're going to keep it.
Well, and it's interesting because I think estate planning and exit planning of the olden days, right? 10 years, 15 years ago, was just like, we're going to put something in writing, we're going to move things to the trust, and then the patriarchy or the matriarchy dies, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, was this a good plan? Whereas what you're talking about, even the storytelling, like, that seems like a great marketing tool as well, to put, like, if you really told some of the story and get people to love it